marketers, growth managers, and business owners. You're listening to the Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast by Best Company. It's growth done right. Let's do this.
Hey, this is Todd with Best Company, and welcome to the Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast, powered by Best Company. And our goal on this podcast is really simple. We want to offer concrete strategies and practical tips that you can use every day to grow. We like to call it growth done right because it's utilizing word of mouth marketing and a trust foundation for growing your business. And nobody's better to help us learn how to do that than our guest today. I'd like to welcome Travis to our podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Travis.
Thank you, Todd. Very excited to be on. Appreciate you having me.
It's good to have you. So this is Travis Eichelberger, the CEO of True Solar there in Iowa. So Travis, help our viewers understand just a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Professionally, I've held various leadership roles over the years since, honestly, immediately after high school. Sales, BPO, or telemarketing, even the restaurant industry. I've always been involved in startup companies. That's always been my passion. That eventually led up to my start in solar about 7 years ago. During that time, I also pursued my MBA, graduated from the University of Iowa in 2018. So go Hawks. I've also personally got a 5-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter, and also 3 large dogs at home. So I've got my hands full.
That's great. So young kids, MBA, large dogs, you're living life right there. So it's great to hear that, Travis. Help us understand a little bit. You mentioned there that 7 years ago, it's kind of where your solar journey started. Walk us through your solar journey there just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting into the industry, it was new. I believed in solar. I knew it was a good thing, but I didn't necessarily have a passion for it, admittingly, at the time. And I remember when I got started, I spoke with the solar company and they had an operations manager position open, which is managing the construction crews. And I am not even a handyman at the time. And so they said, all right, well, start Monday and figure it out as you go. So I started 7 years ago. Honestly, it is the first job that I actually love, that actually fulfills me. What I found is that every day when I left, whether I had a good day or a bad day, regardless of any obstacles that I might face, I came home knowing that we did something good and that we made a difference. And honestly, for the first time, I was proud to tell people what I did and what I did for a living. At that time in the industry, it was still really, really new. People didn't know what solar was. The technology was new. It was a good return on investment, but not as good as it is today. So a lot of people just wanted to learn about it and not necessarily purchase the actual product. Over the course of the last 7 years, there have been massive advancements in technology, which has made it really, really fun. It's also made the ROI significantly higher. Like you said, when I started there, I started as the operations manager. So I worked with the installation crews and the electricians. So I was able to learn very intimately the actual installation process itself, more so than most executives. By the end of my tenure with that company, I took over as president of the company. And I'm now the owner and CEO of True Solar. So I have very much enjoyed all the challenges and all the opportunities that the solar industry has brought to me.
I love that you've actually engaged in so many different roles in running a solar company, but on the installation side, in the operations side, and now with a leadership role there. So what's been one of the biggest surprises that you have found, Travis, in the solar industry? Because one thing that you said that got my attention was that you finally kind of found a role that you loved. You found an industry that you really loved. What about it was surprising to you? And what about it do you think really just makes it something different than anything else you've done in the past?
Absolutely. I think the benefit to the consumers is the largest thing that honestly surprised me. Like I said, when I got into the industry, I knew that it was a good thing. The people said it was good for the environment and maybe would save you some money and so forth. But once I actually saw for myself what it would do for customers by taking away their electricity bill on any given month, and also the lasting impact that it had over the course of the life of the system, 20 to 30 years, I realized kind of how powerful that is, especially compared to some of my other employment opportunities when I was in the BPO space or the telemarketing space. I remember at one point I was 18 and we were offering dial-up internet to customers that specifically already had high-speed internet. So you can imagine how fulfilled I did not feel at that point, and you almost went home not feeling good at all. And so to be able to be in a situation where I can provide a true value to customers, both financially and be able to help out the environment for years to come, that was surprising, kind of how much that took over my life and how I felt about the industry and about my job as a whole. And it's been a blessing ever since.
I love that. I love that answer. That's great. Selling dial up to people that already have high speed. So the juxtaposition from that world where you're selling people things they don't really need to where now solar is so unique because everybody wins, right? No matter where you're looking, you're doing some good. I love that. And tell me a little bit about the company now that you're running, True Solar. So as I looked up True Solar on bestcompany.com, I was really impressed with your mission. So tell our viewers a little bit about True Solar and your mission specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that comes from kind of how we were started and how we were founded. So over the years in solar, I built a lot of relationships with individuals that worked with the same company that I did, but also worked at other companies, whether they were large companies, small companies, new and old companies. And a lot of the times, whenever we would talk and kind of catch up, we would always find ourselves saying, I wish we could do things this way, or I wish we could do that. But whether you worked at a small company, often they just did things the way that they've always done it, and they didn't want to change things for that reason. Also at the large companies, they don't change because it's such a large company and it's such an undertaking to change a process or to change an idea. And so we came together and said, hey, what if we don't have a board of directors to report to? What if we don't have investors that we have to please? What if we can actually create a company in the vision that we want, that we could actually do something really, really special with that? So from that idea and from that conversation is kind of where True Solar was born. And our goal is to be a local solar company that isn't chasing revenue targets, isn't chasing growth targets. We don't want to take over the world. We simply want to do a very, very good job with solar and provide an amazing customer experience to everybody that chooses to do business with us.
I love that focus of just distilling it down to these are the things that we really want to do well. And we're not trying to, send a rocket to Mars. We're not trying to, take over the world. We just want to do these core things really well. Following up on that, you mentioned some of your principles, some of the principles that are kind of the lodestar or the guiding light for True Solar. I was struck by their authenticity, to be honest with you. I mean, we've all read corporate speak and people saying we want to do this and we want to do that. But your core principles that you highlighted really struck me by their authenticity. Walk our viewers through what some of those are.
Absolutely. First and foremost, honesty is a big, big principle of it. I myself have been involved in sales for a long time. I've seen the right and wrong ways of doing things. Unfortunately, in the solar industry, it's so new that most consumers don't understand how it works, how the financials work for solar. So it's easy for them to be presented with and to accept incorrect information. We want to be able to educate our customers on that, on how it actually works, the money that they can save, and honestly, whether or not it's a good investment for them. If that means that by us being honest, we're going to potentially lose a sale or a customer might decide that solar isn't for them, that's what we're going to do each and every time because we want customers to be happy and satisfied with the project for years to come. Additionally, in regards to taking pride in their work, our saying is that if you can't be proud of what you're about to do, don't do it. I've seen the power of what people can do when they take pride in their work, and it is extremely powerful. And that's that fulfilling feeling that I was talking about for myself. I want everybody at True Solar to feel fulfilled and to be proud of what they do, because I know if we do that, we can accomplish some great things and really produce a great product for our customers. Lastly, the big principle is learning. Actually, and this is why it's authentic. My grandpa, he always had a saying that school is always open. And what he meant by that is that you always have to be open to learning new things, and you always have to be able to accept change and to find ways of doing things better. As focused as we are on the customer experience, we have to be humble enough to be able to say, hey, we have a shortcoming, we have a failure at this point in the process, or maybe we're not doing this very good right now, and be humble enough to identify that and immediately work to learn how to overcome that and to put a new process into place. So if you're not constantly improving, honestly, in my opinion, you're falling backwards and you're taking a step back. So we always have to be moving forward. And those principles are really what guide us. If we come to a decision throughout the day that we need to make and we're not sure which route to go, we run through our principles and we say, okay, how does this align with how we want the business to be? And we use those principles to make decisions on a day-to-day basis.
I love that. And you talked about that honesty at first. And this is where I want to pivot the conversation a little bit off of you and True Solar a little bit and over to your customers. And when they come to you with questions, Travis, you talked about, okay, giving them information and educating them and trusting them with honest answers to their questions. What are some of the questions that your customers have? What are some of the common FAQs that you hear all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. By far the most common one, ironically, is solar free? So speaking of honesty, one of the things that a lot of solar companies portray the federal tax credits and the incentives as is that the government will pay you to go solar, which is technically true in a very small way, but that's highly misleading, if you will. So that's a big question that we get, that we talk customers through. The fact that it's, of course, not free. It is a service that you need to be able to purchase, but there's a lot of different financing options and creative options to make it really, really affordable for customers. Another question that we get, especially in Iowa, is the durability of the solar panels themselves. We get hail here, we get the sun, we get the snow. We were talking before we got on here about the ice storm that we're getting today and so forth. The solar panels are actually rated for golf ball sized hail up to 90 miles an hour. So honestly, the only repair that I can remember in my career is when a customer backed his tractor into his ground mounted solar array. And then we had to, of course, fix what the tractor literally ran over. But outside of that, they can handle the worst that Mother Nature has to offer. So, and that's something that comes up pretty often. The last question that I would say comes up is maintenance on the solar system. You know, once you build it, what do you have to do? Does it require upkeep? Is that going to be an expense that I have to, forecast? The great part about solar is there's no moving parts. So because there's no moving parts, it truly is a set it and forget it type of technology. If by chance there are any issues, manufacturers provide warranties of up to 25 years. We also stand behind our work and provide a workmanship warranty as well. So there's minimal risk to the consumer. Like I said, it really is a turnkey and set it and forget it type of system.
That's great. Anything less impactful than a tractor, it sounds like, that this equipment can take.
There's actually videos out there of trucks rolling over solar panels and driving over them, and the solar panels don't break.
No, that's crazy. Thanks for walking us through some of those customer questions that you get all the time. Help us understand a little bit about the customer journey. And I'm most interested in this concept of trust and building trust throughout the customer journey. Walk us through a little bit how you intentionally build that trust throughout the customer's buying journey.
Yeah, great question, Todd. First and foremost, it has to start with education. I've been in a lot of sales organizations where the salesperson starts and they're handed a script and they go meet with customers, read down the script, and that's about the extent of it. Our solar consultants are very, very highly trained in regards to how solar actually works. They know how it's installed. They know how the electricity works. They know some of the basic, technical functions of it, right? So they can actually explain to the customer how the technology is going to work and what it is that we're going to be able to put up on their roof. They also talk to them heavily about the financial savings to make sure that they understand what it can or can't do from a financial perspective. So that education first approach, that no pressure approach during that initial consultation is extremely, extremely important to us because the customer has to be comfortable with making an investment like this. The second part is once a customer chooses True Solar, communication is absolutely vital. We pride ourselves on providing updates every single step of the way. Our goal is to make sure that every customer knows exactly where their project sits at all of the different kind of turning points throughout the process and all the different steps that it takes. So if a customer doesn't know what's going on or doesn't know where their project sits, that's a failure on our part. And we take a lot of pride in combating that. That information and that transparency through that process is very key to building that trust. You don't want to sign a contract with somebody and then you don't hear from them for a week. You want to be able to know that your project's moving forward and that you're in good hands.
That's fantastic. So that education at the beginning, that communication throughout, I think that would build just a ton of trust throughout that. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in here at Best Company is working with companies that really take their reputation seriously. It's in their DNA. where a reputation isn't a press release. Building a reputation is about, hey, communicating, it's day to day, it's engaging with customers and making that a good experience, especially with solar, where it's such a big once in a lifetime type of a purchase, where being there with them the whole time, I think makes a huge difference in the education and in the communication pieces. I love that. Pivoting now from your customers and then kind of looking down the road, Travis, at the future. What gets you really excited? You talked about working in the solar industry, where it's a fulfilling thing for you. It scratches that itch for you, like you're doing something, that where everybody wins and is good. What gets you the most excited, though, as you look down the road and at the near future here?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the biggest item would be the technology advancements. Compared to when I started, again, just 7 years ago, the amount of power that a solar panel can produce has literally doubled just in that time frame. Also, batteries have become a more viable option rather than gas or diesel generators. And that can be a big thing. I can actually tell you that I have batteries at my home, and with young children, being able to have the lights on during a really bad storm, that pays for itself in terms of the investment for the battery system. But seeing how the technology is advancing so quickly and providing different opportunities and different functionality that customers can now opt into, I'm beyond excited to see where that's going to go, even just in another 5 years. If it can continue to go at the pace that it has been, we're truly in for a treat in regards to the technology that will be available.
I love that. And the battery technology, the solar technology, being there on the cutting edge of that's got to be exciting to watch as that progresses. So I love that. This has been so helpful, Travis, not just learning a little bit about you and what makes you tick, but True Solar, what kinds of things True Solar really values and how you try to reflect that with your interactions with your customers and in what you try to provide for them. If people want to reach out to you and they have questions and they want to take advantage of your wealth of information in this industry, what's the best way for them to contact you, Travis, or your company?
Good question, Todd. Definitely encourage people to reach our website at truesolariowa.com. All of our information is available there. You can actually schedule a free, no pressure consultation to let us show customers what we can do for them. Like I said, a big piece of what we do is education. So in the very least, if we get an opportunity to educate somebody on solar, regardless of whether or not you end up deciding to move forward, that's what we like to do. And we'd be happy to do it for anybody.
Love it. All right. So visit truesolariowa.com. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. So that's the best way for people to get a hold of Travis and his team there. Thanks, Travis, for joining us. It was great to get to know you a little bit, and it's great to learn a little bit about True Solar. Thanks for everybody that tuned in, and we hope that you learned a little bit from Travis on how you can utilize word-of-mouth marketing to build trust throughout the entire customer buying experience. And thanks for joining us, and we'll be talking to you really soon. Thank you.
We know you're busy, so from us at Best Company, thank you for listening to the Word of Mouth Marketing Podcast. Want to leverage more concrete strategies, real-life examples, and practical tools? Then hit that subscribe button for growth done right.